light is red, the kids are in bed, which means it is time for Mile High Musings with me, Aaron Yowell, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, it's your boy Aaron Yowell, and welcome to episode 30 of Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Episode 30. Have we been here before? Maybe we have. Maybe we haven't. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Resurrection Sunday all. I am blessed to be here on this day of celebration and feasting because we are free indeed. Praise the Lord. And you know what? We're going to get straight to it in this house.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
That's right. We do both, ladies and gentlemen. We do both. So glad that you're here tonight. There is a lot to get to. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children, and sports fans of all ages, it is time we ascend to the top of the peak and breathe in that rarefied mountain air as I bring you sports takes 5,280 feet above the rest. On tonight's show, we will talk about the Nuggets cooling off and load managing. Everybody hates those words. The controversial end to an amazing streak, a trip back to reality, a trip to a familiar frozen land, and some familiar baseball results. But before we get to all that and all that is good, let's handle our business. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and all of our show pages with personal bios and the podcast feed for each individual show, including this one, Mile High Musings. Check out the show page at iesportsradio.com/Mile High Musings. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and so much more. For nearly a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans and for the fans, and we thank each and every one of you for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yowell from Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I am super excited to tell you about a new sponsor on the network, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm's Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket beef jerky offers gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. That's my favorite part. This is some of the best beef jerky you can get your hands on. Check them out online, planetjerky.com. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. The first period of Mile High Musings on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And since we said first period, that must mean we're talking about the Avalanche. Now, at this point last week, I sat here in this chair and told you that I was going to tell you about the hottest team in the NHL. Well, minus one team, that's for sure. Can't say the same thing this week coming into the show. So we got ourselves a piece of humble pie, and we got brought back to reality. And the controversial end to a streak. But we'll get there. Tuesday, the Avs played Montreal at home and lost 2-1. Now, Montreal took the season series against the Avalanche. It was both games felt the same to me. I feel like the Avalanche I don't know if they didn't get up for Montreal. They didn't believe in what Montreal had. Montreal's young. They're nowhere near the playoffs right now. And I think maybe the Avalanche, I hate to say that they overlook teams, but sometimes I feel like they play with their food. I talked about it earlier in the season. The Avalanche, the Nuggets, they play with their food because they're so good. Nathan MacKinnon scored less than a minute into the game, so those of us on Point Streak watch got to watch the rest of this boring game with a little less stress hanging over us. I will say it was a boring game because literally all 3 goals that were scored in the first period. And for some reason, I decided to keep this game on throughout its entirety, even though it was boring. I guess because I thought the Avs had a chance to win it, and they did. But Montreal's goalie, Montembeault, stood on his flippin' head to keep us scoreless for 40 minutes of hockey. It was what it was. It was our first loss in 10 games. We were on a 9-game win streak heading into this, and that ended it for us. So we welcomed the Rangers in Thursday night to Ball Arena. And one of the things that I hate, man, and I've said this so many times on the show, and it's a Colorado thing for sure. Listen, Denver's beautiful. Colorado's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to live. It's expensive. I honestly, I don't know that I would ever move my family back there because of cost of living and some other things that this podcast is not about. But I hate that when I watch a game, and I notice it way more in hockey than I do in basketball nowadays, which is stupid because the Avs have won more titles than the Nuggets. There are so many more away team sweaters in the stands. Like anytime Boston, New York, any of the original 6, anytime they come to Ball Arena, because they're original 6, they quote unquote travel well. They have so many fans in the stands. Sometimes you feel like you're at an away game. And it felt like that on Thursday night. So in this game, you had goals from Middlestat and Devon Taves. Now the Devon Taves goal is the controversial goal because they called it essentially an own goal. Now in soccer, in football, if you put the ball into the back of your own net, they don't give the opposing team credit for it. They give you essentially a black mark on the game and say you scored an own goal, you dingus. In the NHL, it's not like that. Whoever the last offensive player was to touch the puck gets credited for the goal. Now, there are lots of different angles, and a lot of us on Point Streak Watch were clamoring for the NHL to go back, review the thing, just give McKinnon the point, the assist on the goal, because he did pass it to Devon Taves, and Devon Taves threw it towards net. Now, you could make an argument that it was actually Mikko Rantanen that put the puck in the net, which, okay, fine. Give it to Mikko with assists from Taves and McKinnon. Boom, done. Point streak still going. We're going into this Nashville game talking about McKinnon's point streak and not the NHL blundering and being stupid. I digress. It was a playoff atmosphere, even with all the Rangers fans in there. And the Rangers are good. They're my quote-unquote favorite to come out of the East, them or Florida. Even after watching this game, and the Avs lose 3-2 in a shutout. Georgiev played great. Igor Shesterkin played better, but he had to. He literally had to because the Rangers offense couldn't get anything going. They had 2 fluke goals. One of them should have been called back. And anyway, I don't want to make excuses. All of that to say, yes, the Avalanche lost twice to the Rangers, both in tight games. 2-1 overtime loss in MSG, and this 3-2 shutout loss at home. Y'all, I don't know that the Rangers can beat the Avalanche 4 times in 7 games. And I'm not saying that to be a homer. I'm saying that to be real. I don't know that they can. So, I thought it was a great game. Even PK Subban, who is an NHL analyst, made a big sweeping declaration on X after the game saying, Rangers are good, but don't celebrate too much because the Avalanche are still the best team in the NHL. Now, that's a big thing because we're going to get there in a minute. The whole Central Division. It's weird. The Central Division and the Northwest Division are so similar. But I still think the Avalanche are everybody's favorite coming out of the West because of their playoff equity. That's a phrase I'm going to use a lot. Playoff equity and their championship equity. They were there 2 years ago. They've got amazing players. They made amazing moves at the deadline. to make this team even stronger. And I just think we're in a good spot. Now, I say that after 2 losses because on Saturday, yesterday, the Avs welcomed in the Smashville Predators, who probably, honestly, were the hottest team in the NHL. I mean, they were insane, like 16-0-2 or something like that. Unbelievable. There's a whole big deal about them canceling a team bonding trip to go see U2 at the Sphere, and they went on a tear ever since. But Nashville, who made a run, they are definitely in the playoffs as far as I'm concerned, in that wild card spot. And if the Avalanche were to win the Central, that's who they would draw, I think, unless Vancouver completely falls apart. But they beat Anaheim today, so I don't know. But anyways, Nashville, Saturday. Now, we decided to go to church last night because we were hosting Easter at our house, and we just felt like we weren't going to have enough time to go to church in the morning, come home, do all the Easter prep, all that stuff. So we went to church last night. Anyway, turned off the game to walk into church, and it was 3-1 bad guys. Like, it was 2-1 bad guys. I loaded my daughter in the truck to meet my wife at church, and it was 3-1 bad guys when I got there. And I went, what the heck? So I turned it off. Whatever, after emerging from the sanctuary, I turned the phone back on, see the score at 4-3, and I was like, all right, we're going to be in a dogfight. Let me get home for this. So the baby's asleep. The oldest plays. She's helping my mom bake dessert for lunch today. Turn on the game in the studio, and there you have it. The Avs were a force of nature in the second half of this game. They scored 5 unanswered goals to hang a touchdown on Smashville and cool off their hot streak. You had goals from Drouin, Middlestat, Lehkonen, Makar, Trennan in a revenge game scoring against his old team. And y'all, that was a workman's goal. That was a no-no. Shout out to DNVR Avalanche podcast and former Avalanche player Eric Lacroix. Big E has no-nos. One of his no-nos is you don't give up a goal in the last minute of a period. Well, Trennan scored in the last minute of the period. Both the Middlestat and Trennan goals were late in the second. And then that made it 5-4, the Trennan goal, which was, good work by that fourth line of Jean-Luc Foudy, Cagliano, and Trennan. Trennan collects a loose puck and snipes it home from the slot. And then you had 2 from the man himself, Nathan MacKinnon. One of them was an empty net, and he flung it back to the goal, backhand, buried it from way downtown, like inside the blue line, I think. Or maybe just right on the offensive side of our own blue line. And buried it. So Nate ended up with a 4-point night and is back atop the league lead in points. And everybody's darling, not everybody's darling. Nikita Kucherov, who was in the lead for a while, is now third because everybody's darling McPickles, and I can't call him McJesus anymore because that is so blasphemous. I can't even believe I did that. Connor McPickles is on a tear, and he has to be, otherwise Edmonton's not making the playoffs. But Nathan MacKinnon, back atop the league lead in points. Cale Makar, who scored a goal in this game, is now tied with Quinn Hughes for the defenseman points lead, and Hughes has played more games than Makar this year because Makar was out with injuries. And Mikko Rantanen had 2 assists in this game, which gave him 100 points on the season. And I saw a stat today, and I think I retweeted it on the show account, but McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen are all over a point per game in the playoffs in production in their careers. And those 3 are peaking right now. Oh, and the Avs won a close division game without Nichushkin in the lineup, who's coming back. I believe he's coming back soon. But you could tell, that he wasn't right. And I'm glad they held him out. And it's a topic of conversation for the third quarter. But, our big dogs are peaking. We're getting our new guys into the system. At this point, I don't care if Landeskog comes back. I want him to come back. He's skating more. I want him to come back fully healthy and ready to go. Not the shell of a man. So, but, Avs, special times, my friends, special times. With that win against Nashville yesterday, the Avalanche clinched their 7th playoff berth in a row and are 3 points behind Dallas for the Central Division. Drewski, my man, listen to me. You can have that damn division title. We barely squeaked it out last year. And it killed us because we lost in the first round against Seattle because we were so injured and so tired. We still play Dallas one more again. We have Winnipeg again. So I got to, and we have a game in hand on Dallas. So the division title is still honestly up for grabs. And Vancouver has been streaking in the wrong direction lately. So technically the overall 1 seed in the West is still up for grabs. But we play a really weird schedule this week of at Columbus. Remember what happened last time we played Columbus? Big Dubs. At Minnesota on Thursday, and then Friday at Edmonton. It's a weird little roadie. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is our last road trip of the season. And we got that stupid back-to-back in there. But Avs could, 4 out of 6 points or 5 out of 6 points on this road trip is where you want to be, for sure. Minnesota's going to play us tough. Columbus is bad. So you're thinking there might be 4 points. Maybe you get 6 because you remind Edmonton who you are. But special times, my friends. Oh, wait, I heard it. Coach is calling a timeout. We're going to take a break. On the other side, it's the last day of March, so let's get our last little bit of madness in. You're listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Don't forget to give the show a follow on X at @MileHighMusings_IESR. Check out all the shows on Twitter. Check out our Facebook page and our website, iesportsradio.com, for a list of all of our shows and to see what's coming down the pike. We got Taryn in chat tonight. I expected a slow night. It's never a slow night with Taryn, but, it's me and Taryn hanging out tonight. It's Easter Sunday, gang. People are with their families or their sickos like me and Taryn, and we do shows, and we hang out. But let's talk madness, gang. We had some March Madness for us this week. CU women's basketball played in the Elite Eight against Iowa. And listen, I knew from jump that no matter how good CU has been all year, they were running into a buzzsaw that is Caitlin Clark. Iowa won 89-68. Second year in a row that Iowa has knocked the CU women's team out of the tournament. And to be quite honest with you, I don't have a lot to say on this game because Iowa was really dominant and CU was really good this year. And no matter how good they were, I didn't think this team had enough to make it all the way to the Final Four. But good on them. They have a lot to be proud of. And I feel like this is a really good momentum season. 2 seasons in a row, actually, for the CU women's heading into, going back home to the familiar place that is the Big 12 where we belong. So lots of stick taps, claps, and a big fat mile high salute to the CU women's basketball team for making it to the Elite Eight this year. We are proud of you, Lady Buffs. CU women's basketball. Lady Buffs is not meant to be demeaning or degrading. Sometimes in my old age, I slip to things from back in the past. Speaking of things to be proud of, y'all, the DU Pioneers won not once, but twice this weekend to propel them into the NCAA Frozen Four. On Thursday afternoon, DU beat UMass 2-1 in a double overtime game. Power play goal scored by Sam Harris in that second overtime sealed the win for DU and set them up for a meeting with Cornell on this past Saturday afternoon. DU's goalie made 43 saves. 43 saves in that double overtime win. Saturday, DU won 2-1 again. And DU was the highest scoring team in college hockey this year. And they also gave up a ton of goals per game this year. And the way they won their first two games in regional play shows you that DU is not afraid to win any way they need to. They grind out two tough games, both 2-1. They play solid defensive hockey. The goalies were great. And they scored when they needed to. Lots of NHL prospects on the DU roster, including Colorado Avalanche's own Sean Behrens. Happy birthday, Sean Behrens. Belated birthday. His birthday was yesterday. But this Pios team can win any way it takes. The national semis, the Frozen Four, which I'm so excited for, start on Thursday, April 11th. That's this coming Thursday. And DU plays Boston University at 4 p.m. Mountain on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Right now, we're waiting for the winner between Michigan and Michigan State to finish out that Frozen Four. That game's tomorrow night. So you've got DU, BU, Boston College, and the winner between Michigan and Michigan State. If the Pios are able to do this national championship game Saturday the 13th, I mean, go Pios. Go freaking Pios. And I don't know how many of y'all still got your brackets going. I didn't fill one out this year just because I didn't feel confident in my overall college basketball knowledge. I used to be a college basketball sicko. I mean, it still is on a lot on the weekends here in the Owl House, but it's on a lot when I'm cleaning the kitchen on a Saturday or doing laundry or, I don't know, it's more background noise than anything. Whereas when I was in my, 20s and early 30s, it was, I'm going to sit down and actively watch it. The way I sit down and actively watch Nuggets games, Avalanche games, Broncos, etc., the teams we talk about on the show. That being said, the team that I would have picked to win the national championship, and I know that that's not what this show is about, but I need you to know, out of all of these games that I've watched, caught out of the corner of my eye, peeked in on while I was in intermission or the end of a quarter break for some of our home teams, UConn's good, gang. I know that Purdue's got 7'2", Zach Eddy, and he's gone off. But UConn's got big dudes too. And UConn has only trailed for 28 seconds in this tournament. My mom and I were talking about it, and there was a poll on YouTube or Twitter or something, I don't remember, but which number one seed do you think would fall first? And I actually said North Carolina because they just look soft. And I usually love rooting for North Carolina. But they look soft, and they were definitely the first one seed to fall. So you have 2 1 seeds left. NC State, that's incredible. The run they're on. Alabama. I think it's going to be an amazing Final Four this coming weekend for the men's tournament. I think it's going to be great. I think it's been the first 2 days was like, man, you're either blowing teams out or it's a nail biter. There was no middle ground games. And I think these last weekend of games here has been fantastic. Been fantastic. We're going to get a line change. And on the other side, let's talk Nuggets. You're listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
But there was a point in time early in our marriage where my wife and I were looking at moving up to that area just to do something different. She had lived in Texas and Louisiana her whole life. I had lived in Colorado and then moved to Texas. And we were young, didn't have kids, and thought about it and didn't. Because I went, do you think you know about snow? I think I know about snow. But they know about snow. Anyways, here we are. We got Ralph back in the chat. Ralph's running a little late, brother. You do not have to apologize. Happy Easter to you and yours, Ralph. I noticed you were here this week and not last week when I talked about the Avs coming back on the Pens. I'm kidding. I got to throw shade. No, I don't. I don't have to. I'm kidding. Let's talk Nuggets, guys. It's third quarter. You're listening to IE Sports Radio's Mile High Musing. IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And this time last week, I sat here and I gloated about how the Nuggets were the best team in basketball and they were the hottest team. And everybody better watch out. It's a foregone conclusion. Well, that was fun while it lasted. To be honest, they still have the best record in the NBA since the All-Star break at, 16-4? Those numbers sound familiar, don't they? Oh, yes, that's exactly our record in the playoffs last year. Sorry, y'all. I'm living in the best Nuggets time of my life. I got to enjoy it. Whew. Nuggets had 4 games this week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday schedule. Monday, the Nuggets played Memphis and beat them 128-103. Look, y'all, Memphis is not good. They're not. Injury bug. They got young players. They're not good. And the Nuggets were without Jamal Murray and AG in this game. And Jokic did what Jokic did. He had 29 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. Listen, the Pens have been a disaster because things didn't work out, Ralph. I think that they made some moves and they didn't pan out. I love Sidney Crosby. I think he's a fantastic player. Kind of want him to wear the burgundy and blue. I'm kidding. But that was an unbelievable comeback. And I need you to know that I thought we were dead to rights. So I didn't see that one coming. Anyway, Nuggets playing without AG and Jamal. Jamal all week. But Jokic had 29, 11, and 8 in the win. Nuggets had 7 players in double figures, including Julian Strawther, who got a lot of minutes in this one. Christian Brown started in place of Murray and scored 17 points again. So it is what it is. That was Monday. Wednesday, Nuggets lost to Phoenix at 104-97. Are the Suns a problem for Denver? They are when Jamal Murray's not in the lineup. And trust me, at this point, we wouldn't see Phoenix until the second round at the earliest. And Jamal's going to be healthy for the second round of the playoffs. And the Nuggets have lost 2 times in a row to Phoenix. Don't think they're going to forget that. Because Jokic won't forget it, and Jamal definitely won't forget it. So are the Suns a problem for Denver? Not in a 7-game series. No. Phoenix shot almost 50% from 3, and Denver shot 25% from 3. So there's that. AG was back in this one, but he was getting his legs back, and all 5 Nugget starters were in double figures, but the bench was abysmal. Jokic had 22, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists in this game. And then Friday, which I think Friday was the most telling game of the week, Nuggets got beat 111-98 by Minnesota. And there were some things that happened in this game that the Nuggets aren't going to forget about. Particularly Anthony Edwards begging to shoot a left-handed free throw in garbage time. I like Anthony Edwards. I like to watch him play. I like that he's confident. He's going to get his ass kicked in the playoffs if they get Denver. Because Jokic and Murray have the Michael Jordan killer instinct right now. You may have got us that time, but you will not get us in 7 games. Minnesota's a scrappy, good, young team, but I don't trust their playoff or championship equity. Jokic tried to go Super Saiyan, 32, 10, and 5, but still no Murray, and the bench was god-awful again. So it's going to happen. And I thought that with how little Jokic played down the stretch in that game, you really saw the Nuggets going, okay, health is really the issue. Jokic had his wrist taped. It was bothering him. He talked about it in the postgame, about how it was bothering him, and he's tired of it bothering him, but he's getting used to it, which is not a good thing. So, on this Resurrection Sunday, the Nuggets kind of resurrected their winning ways, and they welcomed Cleveland in. Cleveland, who is the number 3 seed in the East. Now, it's crazy because the discrepancy between 1 and 2 in the East is like 11.5 games or 11 games. The difference between 1 and 10 in the West is 12.5 games. The West is so good. And none of those teams in the East scare me. Anywho, Cleveland was in for that dreaded matinee game. And no Murray in this one, but no problem. Cleveland's the 3 seed, and they put up a fight for about a quarter and a half before the Nuggets said enough's enough. Jokic did Jokic things again in this one. 28 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists, all while shooting 61% from the floor against the second best defense in the NBA. Go ahead and give him the MVP trophy. He's shown you all week without Jamal Murray that he still puts up basically a triple-double line in every game. And they went 2-2 this week without 2 of their starting 5 for most of it. And it's good because the Nuggets are able to integrate guys into the flow of the game that are going to be rotation players in the playoffs or that aren't. I see that as a win, whether they're rotation players like Peyton Watson, obviously Christian Brown, Reggie Jackson, but guys like Colin Gillespie getting run, which I think was fantastic. And after the the Memphis game, and I know Memphis is bad. Listen, I like what Colin Gillespie brings. Reggie Jackson has done a great job for us. Colin Gillespie with Jokic in that stagger is really good. I like Colin Gillespie as a future backup. I'm excited to see what Jalen Pickett can do maybe next year in a little bit bigger role, because maybe he's even better than Colin. But I digress. This week was proof that the Nuggets value health of their team heading into the postseason more than they value the 1 seed. It's a dogfight atop the West and the Northwest, for that matter, for that 1 seed, right? And right now, it's weird because the Nuggets have officially clinched the playoff spot with the win today, but they're the 3 seed because of the loss column and division losses and a lot of crazy tiebreakers. If they were really gunning for the 1 seed, if they were really, really trying, the way the Avs were gunning to win the Central last year, I think they would have pushed Jamal and AG at least in the Minnesota game for sure. But like I said before, in every post-game press conference, the Nuggets talked about health, getting our guys ready for the second season, because that's what it's about. Don't get me wrong, I would love the 1 seed. I think 5,280 feet is the best advantage in sports, but I need a healthy Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, because we don't repeat without them. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now, there are some times coming up, some opportunities coming up in the schedule for Denver to rest guys. For example, Nuggets play Tuesday against San Antonio. Wemby's doing 40 and 20 and whatever and all that. I don't care. What a great day. Who cares? I mean, we need wins, but who cares? If Jamal needs another night, give him another night. I think Yoke is going to play because Yoke wants to stay in the rhythm. That's how he is. He likes the routine. But if Maul's not ready to go, don't send him. Don't do it. Thursday at the Clippers. I think Maul needs to be back and ready for that game. And then you got Saturday against Atlanta. Atlanta's got some good guards. I think that'd be a good game for Maul to get his legs back. There's only 7 games left, gang. We still have Utah one more time. We have Memphis one more time. We have Minnesota one more time. What's the fourth? Who am I missing? I don't remember. We only have 7 games left. You know what? Let's take one more break. And on the other side, God, I guess we'll talk about baseball. You're listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Give these Sports Couple Perspectives a listen Friday nights here on the network. Shout out to Larry B and Celia for that one. Let's head into the final frame of tonight's show. And before we get into the crux of the final frame, we got to shout out the Colorado Rapids, who beat LAFC 3-2 on Saturday night. Jordi Mikhailovic, I love that name, scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of play to seal the comeback for the Burgundy. So shout out to the Rapids, who've won 2 games this year. And they're not in last place. So big ups to that. Speaking of last place, there was a moment where I thought, dang, we really could lose them all. Yeah, I'm talking about the Rockies. How'd you guess? The Rockies put up the most embarrassing third inning I've ever not watched in my entire life on opening day. Now, Thursday was an Avalanche night, so I had to pick and choose, and I had the Avs on the TV and the game cast going for about 9 seconds on my phone for the Rockies. And while so many baseball fans were excited for opening day, excited for the untold promise that lies ahead of their team, us in Rockies Nation knew damn well what was ahead of us. The Rockies lost 16-1 on opening day. I mean, hey, they didn't give up any more runs after that ugly third. And then they lost 7-3 in game 2. And that was the moment, actually, where I was like, damn, we really could lose them all, and they're going to move the Rockies out of Denver. The Monforts don't know how to spend their money on baseball players, because that's the thing, gang. Coors Field will still be one of the best places in the world to watch a baseball game this year. Not because of the home team, but because of the away teams. The weather, the atmosphere. Did I mention the weather? The weather. And I can tell you firsthand, I've been to a few other ballparks in the nation. I love Coors Field more than any of them. It might be the nostalgia of being a kid, going to games there, but also just, gosh, I love it. And the revenue from those games will line the pockets of Dick Monfort or Charlie Monfort or whoever the hell holds the reins, and they'll keep the business open. And that's the thing. It's a business for them. It's not a team. Never mind those of us who remember our teachers rolling out the TV cart in our classrooms on the inaugural opening day in 1993, 31 years ago. Those of us who are still dying for this team not just to be a wild card team, if they're any good, but to be a team that could actually compete for an NL pennant year in and year out. Now, listen, I know real talk that that's not going to happen because of teams like the Dodgers. But a guy can dream, can't he? Jesus rose from the dead. Maybe the Rockies can too. You know, we're a fan base that will still, after a little self-convincing, wear their purple and black garb out of the house and catch heat for it, especially those of us who have moved away from the fair state of Colorado, and yet we still care about the team. I actually wear my Rockies hat to work a lot when I have to go on project sites, and I'm not dealing with the client. It's more of I'm supervising. I'll wear the Rockies hat because I still love it. I digress. The Rockies did get a win this weekend in Game 3 of 4 against the defending NL champion Diamondbacks. 5-run fifth on Saturday sealed the deal for the Rockies in a 9-4 win over Arizona. Peter Lambert picked up the win with 1 inning pitched. Ezekiel Tovar and Brent Doyle homered in the game. Nolan Jones tripled. Charlie Blackmon hit a double. So we had one night of bliss in 4 because the Rockies lost again tonight. Ending the visit to Arizona all before heading to Chicago to play a resurgent Cubs team who many think could win the Central. Now, the excitement I talked about a while back for opening day has come and gone. And while the season is still young, I long for the Rockies to not even be the best in the division, but just to be competitive on a game-to-game basis. That's all I want. I don't want 16-1. I don't want 7-3. 5-1 I can deal with. Because some days, Mama said, some days will be like that. Colorado placed 3 at Wrigley before heading home Friday for the home opener against the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, I appreciate y'all hanging out. Shout out to Taryn and Ralph for being in the chat tonight. I hope you all had a blessed week, and I hope you have a blessed week going forward. We will be back next weekend to talk about all that is Mile High Sports. Don't forget to give us a follow. Check out all the shows on the network. So glad that you spent your Sunday night or Monday morning or whenever you get a chance to listen to the show with us. And from the top of that mountain, I, Aaron Yowell, hit you with a big fat Mile High salute and remind you to stay good, sports fans.
Go Broncos!